Hey everybody, welcome to the Big Huntsville Podcast, the show that's all about the people, places, and the stories that make this city an amazing place. I'm your host, Carl Thomas, your favorite realtor, singer-songwriter, and all-around Huntsville cheerleader. Each week, we'll be shining a light on the community heroes who make this city tick, having some fun along the way, and sharing a few real estate tips when you least expect it. So whether you've lived in Huntsville your whole life, or you're just thinking about calling Huntsville your new home, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Big Huntsville Podcast. I don't even know how I got here. I don't know how I got to this place in life where I'm getting to sit in front of amazing people and talk about things that are life-changing. I'm a realtor, man. I like making money. I like selling houses. I like doing all these selfish things, but somehow in my life, I've ended up in a place where I'm able to actually talk to people who are making huge impacts on our city. Today, I have a native to our city on the show with us. So let me tell you a little bit about him before I throw it to him and start asking him all kinds of weird questions. But today, our guest is Brad Davis. Brad is an Army veteran from Huntsville, Alabama, just like me, which is cool, who has been open about his struggles with PTSD, depression, and suicidal ideation. I hope I got that word right. Basically, suicidal tendencies, suicidal thoughts. As an advocate, he uses his experiences to help others, which is super cool, and that's why he's on the show with us today. Brad believes strongly in the power of community support and credits golf and organizations like the PGA Hope, and something that he's actually in the middle of starting right now that's going to go down that same path of helping others just be able to heal, because that's a big part of PTSD, is that I understand that a lot of times it goes unattended, and it can take you down some super dark roads. So Brad, today we're going to talk to you about those dark roads, and you're going to kind of help us over here on the civilian side understand what you've been through and how you got here and all that. So thanks for being with us, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate it. I thank you for the honor of giving me a few minutes every time to speak to whoever wants to listen.
Yeah, they want to listen, because I'm telling you that we're in a veteran city. I mean, if you're not in the military, probably 5 out of 7 people served. It's really cool to be here and to be in that mix. It's really neat to be around so many people who gave their lives, their time, their families to the military, for people like me to walk around in goofy shirts and to have freedom to do that, man. It's awesome.
Man, I'm wearing a Captain America shirt, so I'm out there with you.
I was going to ask, I wasn't sure what you were wearing. I was like, man, this guy might be a Scoutmaster. I'm not sure.
Everybody who knows me knows I'm covered in Marvel tattoos. I've got different tattoos for different time periods in my life, and I tell people, I've got this brain fog, from PTSD and the years of medications. It's kind of starting to roll in, and my family has hereditary early onset Alzheimer's. So, as memories go, I'm kind of at a point now where I'm having to go in and get, what little bit of a brain I've been told I have up there. Shouldn't take long, be a quick in and out thing to check her out. So just memories.
Well, so you're getting help for the stuff that you dealt with that has caused this PTSD. You're getting help for that, which is number one. That's awesome. Right. I think a lot of people are either ashamed or push it to the side and think it's not important to spend time focusing on, repairing some of the damage. And I know it can't be repaired for most people that have dealt with things like you've probably dealt with, but I think it's number one cool that you are open about the fact that you're on meds for it. You're doing something about it, not just letting it destroy you.
That's kind of my running joke. I always tell people I got to take my medicine to keep everybody else safe.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at you, and I appreciate that, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I said earlier before we started recording that I might end up hiding under my desk if you share too much today. So I already want to do that just looking at you. So tell me a little bit about. Well, I guess the number one thing that people know about PTSD, especially locally, we have so many veterans here, is that suicide is a big part of where that will land a lot of people. So I guess as a civilian, as somebody on this side of things, tell me a little bit about suicide awareness, how people like me or just the general public can help with that kind of thing.
Right. So never leave the veteran who is the I am okay guy, because you can usually throw a not in there,
Yeah.
in the not okay category.
Yeah, I got you.
Um, I think one of the big misconceptions that, and this is what you run into a lot of times, is people don't understand that when you have suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, that's not normal, in your brain.
Yeah.
That's not a normal function of your brain. And, those things get wired, or rewired from some kind of trauma most of the time.
Yeah.
And we just kind of keep it buried deep down. And you never know it's coming, and when it's coming. And one of the big things that you hear a lot of times is, well, how do you why did he do it? Why
Yeah.
why did he end his life? He had the perfect life. He had the wife and the kids and the job. It just, he went to church. It just doesn't make sense. No,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't make sense. You're 100% correct. Um, and that's why in those situations you hear a lot of folks say those things. You've got everything going for you. And in those moments, I try to tell people, look, I'm not in the driver's seat anymore at those points. So you can say whatever you want to say. In my brain, I'm not thinking about those amazing things.
Yeah.
The good guy that's talking to you right now, or the one that loves to help other people, he's not in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
I'm just a passenger. And when that starts happening, I tell people it's rough because you're mentally fighting yourself. Um, and when you go through an episode like that, and people who don't, have never experienced it, or been around it, when I go through an episode like that, it can take me 3, 4 days to recover.
Yeah.
And it takes that time to recover because I am mentally fighting a battle, against myself in my own head. That's a lot of energy that you're trying to expel just to keep yourself alive. The basic thing that you should want to do as a human being, you're having to fight yourself for. And no, that's not a natural thing. So the typical, hey, look, he had everything going for him. Yes, he did. He had everything going for him. You're absolutely correct. But somewhere in his brain, a trauma connection was made, and something at that point in time fired it off. And so many people get it wrong. And you talk to people, and people think, could it have been me? Could I have done something different? Um, a lot of times, no, you couldn't.
No.
Um, because you don't have control over those situations. It's not like, oh, how I'm having a good day. No, it's I'm driving down the road and I smell burning trash. That's always been one of my big triggers, because you roll through those towns and that's what you smell. You smell burning trash, and and
Yeah.
and, and feces, and just a funk that lives with you forever. So things like that can trigger my what I'm going, a thought or an issue, and I have no control over it. I didn't smell that smell, on purpose, and then flip a switch and say, "All right, go time."
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that bag of concrete on the side of the road and said, "Oh, there's a bag of concrete." I said, "Oh, there's bag of concrete on the side of a road. Let me swerve,
Yeah.
gun it to get out of the way,
Right.
Oh, it looks like somebody's tailgating me. I better
Yeah.
gun it to get away." Those are fight or flight instincts that they just become ingrained over time. You just, like I said, you make those neural pathways, and they're hard to break.
Yeah.
Once they're severed, or once they're like that, because it's like I said, it's a lot of not natural things. It's not natural to have other humans trying to kill you. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
natural to have to try and take another human life.
Right.
That's for no other reason. I mean, so it's
Well, because of people like you, PTSD is kind of become a more popular thing to hear about over the last 20 years, especially since 9/11 and everything happened that kind of sent us into a whole generation of people like you having to deal with that. But somebody, a civilian side person can deal with some traumatic situation within their family or something and can walk away with PTSD from that. But what we don't think about on this side is that you would deal with uh, that one event like they would, but then the next day you have to wake up and deal with another one just like it and another one just like it. And so the normal first world people like me out here are not thinking in that level about
yeah,
folks like you, that you're walking
about the
around.
repetition of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you see people who have one thing happen through a month period. Us in the camp down the road took 1,200 mortars incoming.
Wow.
I always tell people that is probably the thing that terrified me most when I was over there was mortars, because somebody, shooting at you've got an opportunity to, I'm sorry, I'm just giving it to you how it is.
Yeah.
Somebody shoots at you, you have an opportunity to shoot back. Mortars are one of those things that, some jack wagon, just drops, a couple of mortars, every time, when you move mortars, you move the tube. And so it
Yeah.
changes the trajectory, and, farther or
Sure.
longer. And then you hear them, and you hear them off in the distance. You hear them when they drop them, and then you hear the first one explode,
Yeah.
and usually they walk them in, and so you hear those things coming at you, and
Right.
there's nothing you can do about it but hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we had so many close calls with mortars, because, like I said, there's nothing you can do about it. If you're just walking around out there. And at that point in time, there wasn't. I always tell people that time period in Iraq was kind of like the Wild West. Still, we were the first group of replacements to go in.
Wow.
We there were still no traffic laws for us when we were over there. You got out of the way. I mean,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
how you got out of the way was your option.
Sure.
And so it was a crazy time to be over there, and to experience that for a good month and a half. It was just a solid, nightly thing. And
Yeah. Well, no wonder you would walk away with mental damage. I'm sure physical damage was always a possibility, but the mental damage is something that we can't see when we see you.
yeah,
And you can't tough guy your way through mortars coming from the sky. You can't do that. I mean, there's not much you can do
right.
besides hope you don't
I
get hit.
I remember the first actual just straight PTSD episode I had was when I got back. So I got back in 2005. Can't remember. Star Wars movie came out that summer or the
Yeah.
next. And there in Huntsville, they were still playing. The Stars were still playing there at Joe Davis Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had fireworks every Friday night. And I didn't think about that when I got my tickets.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was the first time I ever dove under stadium seating.
Wow.
And that was right after, man. And so you go through so many emotions when you get back from over there. At that point in time, the way things were, you deal with them different ways. I spent I spent a lot of time addicted to prescription painkillers.
Yeah, yeah, that would be easy to
When I
jump
got back,
into.
and I would take insane amounts. I would frequent, and work at adult establishments,
Sure.
and was part of that lifestyle. I'd get up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and start with my first Loratab of the day.
Yeah,
And then by the time I got ready to crash into bed at 4 a.m., that I still don't know how I got home,
yeah,
I consumed about 12 Loratabs and almost
yeah.
half a case of beer, you
Right.
know. And that just kind of to goes to numb it because it makes you feel loved again. That's what it did for me.
Wow.
It just made me feel, like I said, loved again. It
Yeah.
made me feel like I could feel compassion towards people again.
Sure. Yeah. It puts you in a different mind space. Cause I mean, I'm just imagining, just like a fireworks show setting you off. Like you can't plan your life around those things happening. You don't know when that kind of stuff is going to hit and how it's going to hit you mentally. So
Yeah,
I, I,
and
I don't
I,
blame you. I don't
yeah,
blame you for jumping into anything to take the edge off of that stuff.
yeah.
I really
I
don't.
I got into that lifestyle, spending time in bars and stuff like that because
Yeah.
I love to fight.
Oh
And
yeah.
at that point in time in my life, and so I worked there for a while, and I ended up working as a jailer for almost 2 years,
Oh,
just
there's a good
because,
opportunity for that.
just because I'm a good guy,
Yeah, I got you.
I'm a big old teddy bear and all those things. So, and just like I told you earlier, I just so happened to talk like Forrest Gump and look like Adam Sandler. So,
Well, okay, so transition me from the guy who's dealing with this, taking anything he can get his hands on to get this feelings to go away, to the man who is now turning all of that around to help other people. Like how did that transition happen?
so even with a family, when you're dealing with things like that, I think probably one of the biggest issues I have when I got put on disability and was no longer in the workforce is I didn't have anything to do,
Yeah,
so I didn't have a mission, so to
yeah,
say. And so I spent a couple of years, trying to find something. I'd had little fad hobbies here and there, and so my family, decided we were going to be intelligent human beings and buy a, travel trailer and take out across the country on my disability pay.
yeah.
That
I got
worked.
you.
That works out real well.
Yeah, let's put you in a small space with all the middle stuff you got going on.
Well, and the thing about it is the VA pay ain't that great. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so we severely jacked up the budget there. And so it became a lot of, okay, well, we're here in Colorado, so let's go walk around the campground because we can't afford to do nothing else. But no, so I was staying at we were staying here local to where we live now. And I was staying at a golf course and RV park,
Okay.
and was riding around out there one day, and just I ran into a guy, and we started talking, and he said, "Well, where are your clubs at?" And I said, "Man, I don't have any." And so, I my past is it's jacked up from just about birth till I got to that point. And so I had played golf before a little bit when I was a kid. I had one of those really jacked up home lives where I suffered every form of abuse
Yeah.
imaginable. I have a seventh grade education.
Mm.
I was homeless at 16. By
Wow.
the time I joined the military, I had started out when I was 16. I started out with two garbage bags full of clothes, and by the time I joined the military, I was down to a Walmart bag of clothes.
Wow. Wow.
And so, yeah, I tell you all that to say, a teacher had given me golf clubs to try out for the golf team, and when I was gone one weekend, my in-laws decided to get intoxicated and wrap all my golf clubs around trees. So
Oh
that
wow. Okay.
kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. But
Yeah.
I decided to give it a try again, and so I started playing. Of course, play like trash. But I started noticing when I was out there, uh, it was just me and that ball, at those times. And man, I feel sorry for that poor ball because I call it some things,
Uh-huh.
sometimes it listens, sometimes it doesn't. Like Pat and I always used to say, sometimes if you want them to remember it, you got to give it to them loud and dirty.
Oh yeah.
So I try, but like I said, it's like a child. It doesn't listen, anymore. Um, but that's the fun of it, I think, is even when you're playing crappy, you're still out there. It's still nothing but you and
Yeah.
that white ball.
Right.
I mean, you have one objective: put that little tiny ball into a hole. That's it. And and you don't have to do it with anybody. That's one
Yeah.
of those things. That's one of the great things about it is, and that's what I've done, and it's attracted me so much is not my amazing scores that I'm able to post up, because it's the higher the number is the better golfer you are,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
anyway, but it's fun to it's just fun to be out there, and like I said, I study the mental aspects of it.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with names, but one of the greatest quotes ever, regarding golf is, and this is something I kind of live by a lot of times, and I tell people this: you can hit the greatest shot ever and end up in a bad situation, or you can hit a bad shot and end up in the best situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that makes golf the closest thing there is to real life, because sometimes they go good and sometimes they go bad, but it
That's
doesn't matter.
good.
You have to play it where it lies.
Well,
And
and you've been able to take this new passion for golf that you've, which by the way, I wondered the whole conversation, because I knew we are going to get to talking about golf in a minute. I was like, I could see cage fighting for you. You just do not look like the average golfer, so that's really cool. So you got involved in a group of folks that were using golf to help people. PGA Hope, right?
right, yeah, I
Okay.
did some studying about I noticed how I was feeling while I was out there, and I was like, I wonder if that's kind of a common thing.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started, reaching out to different organizations, and a lot of times you realize the people with the mental side of the injuries a lot of times kind of have trouble being able to find organizations that they'll work with,
Yeah.
because I look well, other than just how I look pretty normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't know my mind is a sock drawer and a
Yeah.
junk drawer and everything else combined. And so but PGA Hope, they were great. They got me in, and got some instruction to kind of to start improving in the game,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of been a passion that's kind of continued on, and that made me notice that other veterans could use the benefits of using golf as a form of therapy, because I always say playing golf by myself is for my soul.
Yeah.
To play with other people is for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
Because like I said, it's just when it's just me out there, and that's the great thing about it. It occupies your mind so much. When you golf is probably the worst drug there is. They don't allow it in prison because it's cruel and unusual punishment. I mean, it is a brutal game, but when you're able to do those things, I always tell people, I'll never, throw a touchdown in the NFL. I'll never, slam dunk a ball in the NBA,
Yeah.
but every once in a while I can use the same stuff those guys we watch who are so amazing play on Thursdays through Sundays.
Yeah.
I can take those same golf clubs and I can go out and I can hit one shot like Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, I got you. That's
And
awesome.
that's the shot that keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
That's the shot that keeps you thinking the whole ride home, or the whole time, until the next time you get to go out there and swing a golf club. What did I do wrong? How did I mess up?
Yeah.
You start spending all that time, and guess what? You're not in your own head anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All of a sudden, something else is occupying your mind and
Yeah.
occupying. Golf
Wow.
is one of those things. It's one of those powerful things that, like, when I'm wearing a Callaway golf hat, like, you can come up to me because I play golf
Yeah.
and we speak that same language. If I have on, one of my veteran hats and I go up and start talking to another veteran, they know we speak the same language. If I can get them speaking that golf language too, all of a sudden it opens doors.
Yeah.
It gives you opportunities to get out there with more people that may be like you, and the more you talk about these things, and that's one of the reasons that speaking is therapeutic for me as well.
Yeah.
It's because the more you speak about them, the less power you let them have over your life.
Well,
And so,
absolutely. Well, and I
yeah,
think someone like you needs to be in front of people, sharing your story, sharing the things that have been good for you,
yeah,
and talking about there being life after devastation that you've been through.
yeah.
So let's transition. Let's wrap this up in 2 minutes because I feel like I've taken so much of your time, man. I appreciate you. So
I
if
don't mind. I hate talking, man. I really do.
well, if someone wanted to bring you in to speak to a group of people about what you deal with or about what you're about to do, because I know you're about to use golf and reach out to other veterans like you who deal with the same issues that you've dealt with. How do they get you, man? How are they going to reach out to you? Like, how do you want that to happen? Because I want an outcome from this show to
Yeah,
be that these words you're sharing with me would go out a lot farther. I
yeah.
think that needs to be done.
Well, you can reach out to me on Facebook. Just look for Brad Davis and you'll see my
Okay.
bright smiling face. And then you can go on to Instagram, and it's my um, family name. Um,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
so it's Verbon, VERBON
Oh yeah.
Davis on Instagram.
I feel like you
So
need to put your pinky up when you say that verb in the name. That's pretty impressive.
bourbon, yeah. I always tell people my dad was an alcoholic. My mom
Ah,
worked at a liquor store, so it's just
yeah.
kind of natural things.
Well,
So,
you're doing some things. You're getting some things off the ground
mhm.
right now, and that's how we'll wrap up the show today. One of the things that you're about to do, and you're working towards, and you're actually raising money to get this done because you want to be basically everywhere you go, you want people to know what you're doing with this
Yeah,
story of yours. So, Tack Wraps is going to be wrapping your vehicle soon, right? So
yeah,
that's something you're raising money to get done so that people will know about what you do and who you are when you go
right. That's
anywhere.
one of the things that guys love, veteran guys love it is cars. So they can always
Yeah.
talk about cars. They see a cool car, So I have a pretty cool car that turns heads already. So if we could get that taken care of, that'd be amazing because I
Yeah.
really I really want to push it to go to shows and use it as a tool also to reach out to more vets and just make them realize that, look, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Um, you may be in a hole. I'm not going to reach into that hole and just pull you out. I'll jump in the damn hole with you,
There you go.
and I'll show you how to dig out, and we'll get out
Wow.
together.
That's
And that's
awesome.
what I
That's
want people
amazing.
to know. If I can save one person with my struggles in my life, everything I've ever been through has been worth it. If I can turn, I always say this, if I can turn a 22 a day veteran suicide rate into a 21 day, everything in my life was worth it.
Wow,
Plain and simple.
that's fantastic. Well, okay, so folks, if you are like me and you believe in Brad, the way that I do now after hearing his story. Reach out to him. You can jump on social media, Brad Davis. You can jump onto Instagram and look for Vernon. Is it with an E?
Golly, okay. That's a rough one.
Okay,
Victor,
we'll go through Facebook. We'll go through
Victor,
Facebook.
Echo, Romeo, Bravo, October, November.
Well, and then we're also wanting to support him, getting more opportunities to share his story. So reach out to us on the show here, write me, and I would love to connect you with him. I've got his contact info. I'll connect you with him so that you can book him for your events, because I think that's something really important. Well, Brad, thanks for being here, man. You're awesome, dude. Your story's amazing. Keep telling it. We are so proud to have big people doing big things. Not just because you're big, but you're doing big things. We love having people like you on the show. So thanks, man.
It was my honor. And like I said, I hoped even just this tidbit of information may have helped somebody. So
it did. It definitely did. Well, thanks, guys. Catch us next time. Big Huntsville Podcast. People like Brad every single show. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks for tuning in to the Big Huntsville Podcast. If you've enjoyed the stories, the laughs, and maybe learned a little something new about our amazing city, remember, Huntsville isn't just a place, it's a community. And we've got some of the best folks around. So if you like today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you got a local hero or story you think we should highlight, hit me up. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, I'm Carl Thomas. Keeping it fun, keeping it real, and always keeping it big here in Huntsville. Catch you later.